blow all my hexagonians. Get ready to step into the future and prepare yourself
for the Hex Files.
Hey guys, what's up? This is Don, and I hope you didn't miss it, but I just dropped an album. It's called Future. Put a lot of love into this one, worked on it for many years, and yeah, I wanted to give you guys some insight about some of the songs and my thought process behind the music, maybe some of the collaborations, and well, this is a story that is called Future. The first lead single of the album is called Everybody's Somebody. It features Bully songs, who you might know of my record What We Started.
Never be yours.
And What We Started, it's become such an anthem for me. It's become such an important moment in my sets, and I really wanted to kind of recreate that anthemic feeling. And who else to do that, better to do that with than Bully Songs, who by now has become a dear friend of mine. I've also worked with him on another track called Found You. But I want to talk in specific about Everybody's Somebody, because I get a lot of letters from you guys about, things that you're struggling with on a personal level, on a family level, sometimes a work-related level. And nowadays we're all kind of pressured into doing so many things, into being, somebody that we don't even want to be or that we might never become. And to me, this song is really about embracing who you truly are, and not kind of getting stuck into that situation where you become almost unhappy about things that you might never achieve. To me, it's really about being proud of what you are achieving already and enjoying the little things that you're doing as a human being on this planet. We all play our own role, and we should all be proud of ourselves, and that's why this song is important to me. Everybody's somebody, nobody's nobody. Some of you guys by now might know a little record called Don't Let Go. I think specifically what really stands out for that single was the video, because I didn't expect that video would take off the way it took off. We even have like a lot of fan-made props, and I think people really embraced the creature that we created. He's called Scully, and yeah, he's really become a part of the Don Diablo Hexagonian family. And Don't Let Go is one of those sort of upbeat records. It was the first official single of the album, and I really wanted to make that the first single because I think it was kind of the traditional Don Diablo piano house sound, but then in a slightly more song-driven structure, which made it kind of like a nice transition from the traditional Don Diablo into the album Don Diablo. Don't Let Go was the perfect single for me to start the album off with as the first single. The second single on the album was Take Her Place, featuring an amazing band from America. They're called Arizona, the state, not the band. I've been a fan for a while. I really love what they do. And yeah, I really wanted to work with them. So this was a great opportunity to kind of merge their sound with my sound. And I think we came out with sort of a future pop record, if you will. And it was amazing to work with them because they're amazing people as well. And not just gained a song, I also gained new friends, which is amazing when you make music, that you have such a connection with someone at the other end of the world. And it was amazing when Zach came to Amsterdam as well to perform the song with me. And yeah, this might not be the last collaboration that we're doing.
24/7.
After that, we dropped You Can't Change Me, and to me, I did want to put some music on the album that would work well in the clubs, because in the end that is where I came from. And this record's done really well as an instrumental in my sets, and it was really hard actually to find the right vocal for it. I think I recorded over 15 different songs on that instrumental, but it all didn't feel quite right. And then for my DJ sets, I made an edit with an old sample from an old Roger Sanchez record, and that one was called You Can't Change Me. And yeah, I just kind of turned it into something new, I guess. And I tried it out for the first time, and people really related to it. So I decided to keep it as it was, and yeah, it became a really sort of important moment in my sets. And for the last couple of months, it's actually become the opening tune of my sets, and definitely a song that I'll be playing for a long time in my DJ sets. People say it was a record that I wanted to drop before the actual album came out because, you know, I think not just lyrically but also musically that record really sort of pushes things to another level. It's a Don Diablo sound, but you know, with a different approach to it. And working on that record with Paige was inspiring because lyrically I think we found a message that fits so well with the album. You know, for me the whole album is about being positive about the future, being comfortable with who you are, being proud of who you are, and kind of fighting for what you believe in. And people say it's really about that. It's about you know, standing up for what you believe in and doing what you feel is right, no matter what the people say.
When the lights come on, the party's over.
One song that's really dear to me on the album is a song with an incredible vocalist. His name is Caleb Scott, and I remember 2 years ago I was with my mom and she showed me an audition of an incredible talent. He was on Britain's Got Talent actually, and I saw that audition and I felt something. It wasn't just me actually. You know, millions of people felt something because I think that audition by itself has like 200 million views. And I remember he did a cover of a classic Robin song, Dancing on My Own, and I was just sat there kind of frozen in my chair. I was just blown away by this sort of beautiful voice and also a beautiful person, because you could really see how much music meant to him, and you could really feel the emotion. Everyone in that room felt the emotion, not just in that room. Everybody watching that YouTube video felt the power of music and what it can do to a human being. So he's really high on my list. I really wanted to work with Caleb, and I'm really proud that it was actually the last song that we added to the album. Literally finished it like 3 days before the deadline. Had to get everything cleared with management and label. Really seemed like an impossible task, but yeah, we did it. And Give Me Love is, you know, it's now one of my personal favorites on the album, and definitely a contender as a single. Betty Who is an incredible talent, someone who I expect of, you know, the world actually in the future, because she's already doing really well, but I think in the future she will do even better. She's getting a lot of attention right now, and the same goes with someone like Nina Nesbitt. I worked with her on the record Put It On For Me.
City lights, red and gold.
And I think on that record you can really hear, you know, Nina is an incredible vocalist, and she's also an incredible songwriter, and just an incredible talent. And again, for me, this record wasn't really about working with the biggest names. It was really about working with the biggest talent, because it's not really about selling as many records as you can. It's really about making the best records that you can. And I think these vocalists are the future.
If we raise our hands high and take a breath in.
And I think, you know, I started a record like 2 years ago, and I met Miles several times, and he's a lovely bloke, really positive attitude, amazingly talented vocalist, very soulful. And I think I made like probably around 25 versions of that track, because I felt I never really felt happy with that record. And I think also Miles wasn't really happy with the record, because he kept emailing me like, I think we can do something better with it. But at the same time, I was working on the album as a whole and on different songs and touring, so it really became something that almost like a riddle that I wanted to solve in my head. And I guess literally 2 weeks before the album deadline was due, I just kind of started from scratch and took some of the best elements of the very first version, and then just kind of started building and crafting into the version that that Bright Skies is right now.
It's been a while since you opened up like this.
Back to Us But this record, I guess I just kind of wanted to make sort of an electronic record that you can slow dance to. Kind of one of those records that you play, you know, when you're at your school dance and it's the final scene of the movie. You meet the girl and you hug her, but it's set in the future. So it's kind of like a futuristic slow dance song. And like I said, it's actually had a couple of different vocalists on it, but in the end, I decided to stay with the actual original vocalist that we recorded the demo version with, Mike Waters, because he just simply had the best vibe and kind of brought across the message the best way. So again, I think this album isn't really always about having the biggest names on the album. It's about making the best songs and the best possible music.
Am I so wrong for staying up late going out with my friends?
So on this album, I also wanted to have at least one record that was sort of an ode, I would say, almost to some of my biggest hits, On My Mind, as well as Cutting Shapes. And I'm talking about a record called Head Up featuring James Newman. And when I say they're kind of an ode to On My Mind and Cutting Shapes, I mean that in a way that it has that big anthemic brass section, that has those big builds, and it has sort of a slightly more hard-hitting drop. It's not super, it's not really chill out music, I would say. I guess it's clear that talent runs in the family, because James is actually John Newman's brother, and he's also written on one of his biggest hits, Blame, together with Calvin Harris, and yeah, definitely a talented family right there. There are a couple of records on this album where I kind of just felt like I really wanted to do the vocals myself, and back in the days and still nowadays, actually, in a lot of cases, I sort of pre-sing or pre-vocal records, and then they get replaced by other vocalists. But I used to do that a lot, and started doing it less when I became a DJ, and I started sort of doing what I'm doing right now. And I don't know, I felt for a record like Reflections, actually I have to go back a little bit, because that record, like the real connoisseurs will know, started out as a remix for a Rufus Du Sol record that actually wasn't approved. They liked the song, but it was about to come out. I think I premiered it somewhere at a festival, I think at Creamfields. Internet blew up, and then nothing happened because they didn't want to put it out for some reason. So I went back to the basic foundation of the track, and I completely stripped it and just kind of kept the same synths and sound designs, but came up with new melodies in the breaks and turned it into my own song, which in the end was, I guess, a blessing in disguise, because it was originally a remix and now it became an original. And yeah, I've been playing it a lot in my sets. A lot of people are asking me about it. A lot of mystery around this record, but I'm really, really excited to finally have it on the album. What the lyrics are about, I guess, yeah, I think that's really personal. So you kind of just have to figure that out for yourself. Reflections. And I guess one of the most personal records on the album is a record called Satellites. A lot of people have been asking me, so who's the singer on the track? It's actually me. And I remember I sent it out to some of my friends, and they were like, oh shit, wow, who's the singer? And I said, it's me. And then they said, like, okay, great. So you you manipulated the voice, or you used a lot of auto-tune? And to be honest, that's not really how it happened. I have to go back. When I recorded the song was actually a few years ago. I just got a phone call that I'd lost someone really important in my life, and I didn't really know what to do with that feeling. And you know, when you lose someone, you want to channel that into something. So I kind of just wrote the whole chorus in like 15 minutes. Because I just always had this idea in my head of, when you pass away, where do you go? I feel like you don't just disappear. You shoot up into the sky and you watch over the people that you love, and the people that mean something to you, and you watch over them like a satellite and you protect them. And that at least was a romantic idea that I had in my head to kind of make things better, because you know sometimes it's really hard to cope with the idea of someone not being there anymore at all, and it hurts. So my way of expressing that was through a song, but it was really hard for me to really use that song, so it just stayed there for many years, never really used it. And I felt with this album that was sort of the perfect timing to kind of step forward and you know, turn this into a song. And yeah, if you want to hear, actually the foundation of the track was this chorus that I recorded.
We are the satellites, we're watching over you. Just look up at the sky and reach out till you fly. I won't be falling down tomorrow. And never forget, we'll guide you high, just like a satellite.
So it's I think you can really hear the emotion in my voice, because it was literally recorded you know, minutes after that phone call, and actually tried to reproduce it, tried to recreate that same feeling and emotion, but it was always an impossible task. So I ended up using this demo vocal that I found on my hard drive and turn it into a song, Satellites, and I hope you guys like it. And when you do an album, I almost feel it's obligatory to do a cover of a record that means something to you. And in this case, I did a record, I think about 2 years ago, with an amazing vocalist, singer-songwriter called Dave Thomas Jr. That record was called Silent. I really wanted to do something with him for this album, and I've kind of floated around the idea of doing this track from the 90s called Killer by Adamski, featuring Seal. But for this version, in my mind, if you go back and look at the actual lyrics of the record, they are so meaningful in if you look at society nowadays and what we are all going through on this planet, that I felt like this record was more relevant now than it was back then, almost lyrically. So yeah, it kind of turned into this sort of heartfelt version, stripped back. It kind of builds into this climax, and I also kind of implemented the typical 90s breakbeat into it, because I felt that was kind of an ode to that era. And I think a lot of young people wouldn't even know that record. Actually, that record was from before my time. But again, I think when you do a cover, it's great to kind of put a song in front of people that they might have missed and kind of reinvent it and turn it into something different. For Found You, I really wanted to do something fresh. The chorus is kind of, I don't know, it really has a, it's almost like when the chorus comes in, the sky opens, and it almost has like an old school 90s kind of feel. I don't know really how to explain it, but I felt like that should be complemented with a drop that felt surprising and almost minimalistic, but still melodic. And yeah, I'm really happy with the way it came out, because it's different from all of the other records on the album. It's different from what I've done, but also when it comes out after the first 8 bars, and it goes on into the second 8 bars, kind of has a typical Don Diablo sound, so it still sounds familiar. And again, yeah, that record's, it's been one of those surprise records that came together really naturally. Echoes is the closing track of the album, and another record that I guess is quite personal. I really sort of originally that record was made for a science fiction film called Kill Switch. The director had approached me. He asked me to make a song for the end credits of the film, and there was limited time, and I remember I just went into the studio, locked myself inside this room for 2 days, no interference from the outside world. Just started thinking about my life, about things that have happened in my life. Started reflecting. I started thinking about things that I've lost, things that I could have done better. I know that I've sacrificed a lot for this life, to do what I do, and to constantly be on the road, constantly be in the studio, constantly craft away. I absolutely love what I do, but there's also a lot that I sacrificed for where I am right now. So that was the album, Future, 16 tracks. Proud of each and every single track on this album. Proud of everyone involved in this album. Big thank you to everyone involved in this album, and big thank you to you guys for supporting me and being a part of this incredible journey. This is just the start. Trust me, I've got so much up my sleeve you don't want to know. I'm gonna make all of you Hexagonians happy, excited, proud to be a part of this family. You are my family, and this album is really, I hope I bring across the message that the album has, and I'm really curious and excited to hear what you guys think about the album, what your favorite track is, what you want to hear on the next album. I promise the next album won't take this long. So yeah, let me know how you feel. Love you guys. We'll see you very soon. Peace.